Alex Morrison rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the clock on his computer screen. It was almost midnight. He was the only one left at North Star Aerospace. Everyone else had gone home hours ago, but Alex wanted to finish checking some data before the weekend. Alex was 32 years old with brown hair and glasses. He was smart but quiet. His bosses often forgot about him, even though his work was excellent. Tonight, as he looked at his screen, he noticed something strange. There was an unusual energy reading coming from Hangar 7, a restricted area where he wasn't allowed to go. That's weird, Alex said to himself. That reading is off the charts. He should have called security. He should have emailed his boss. Instead, Alex grabbed his keycard and walked down the empty hallway toward Hangar 7. The building was silent except for the hum of the air conditioning and the sound of his footsteps on the tile floor. Alex's keycard shouldn't have worked on the hangar door, but for some reason the light turned green when he swiped it. The massive door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the hangar was dark except for a faint blue glow coming from the center. "Hello?" Alex called out. No one answered. He stepped inside and the door closed behind him. As his eyes adjusted to the darkness, Alex gasped. In the middle of the hangar sat a ship unlike anything he had ever seen. It wasn't one of the company's test aircraft. It wasn't even something that looked like it was made by humans. The ship was shaped like a teardrop, black as night but with swirling patterns that seemed to move across its surface. It was about the size of a small house and hovered a few inches above the ground without any visible engines or supports. The blue glow came from markings along its side that pulsed gently like a heartbeat. "This is impossible," Alex whispered. He took a step toward the ship, then another. A voice in his head told him to run, to get away, but his curiosity was stronger. He had spent his life designing aircraft, studying how things fly, and here was something that broke all the rules he knew. When he was about 10 feet away from the ship, a seam appeared in its smooth surface. The seam widened into an opening, and bright blue light poured out. Alex raised his hand to shield his eyes. "I should go," he said, finally listening to his instincts. He turned to run, but it was too late. A beam of blue light shot out from the opening and surrounded Alex. He couldn't move. He couldn't even scream. His feet lifted off the ground and he floated toward the ship. The last thing he saw before losing consciousness was the hangar growing smaller as he was pulled inside the strange vessel. When Alex woke up, he was lying on a table. Not a cold metal table like in a hospital, but something warm and slightly soft that seemed to adjust to his body. The room around him was like nothing he had ever seen. The walls curved in flowing shapes and glowed with soft colors that shifted from blue to purple to green. There were no sharp corners anywhere. He tried to sit up but couldn't move. Something invisible held him down. "The human is awake," a voice said. It was a woman's voice, but with a strange musical quality that didn't sound quite human. Alex turned his head. 5 tall figures stood around his table. At first glance, they looked like women, but as his vision cleared, he could see they were not human. Their skin had a slight shine to it like mother of pearl. Their eyes were large and completely silver, with no whites or pupils, just swirling metallic pools. They wore fitted armor that looked like it was grown rather than made, with strange symbols etched into the chest plates. The tallest one stepped forward. Her hair was white with streaks of blue, pulled back from her face in complex braids. Her armor had more markings than the others, suggesting higher rank. "I am Commander Lyra of the Stellar Valkyries, elite squadron of the Andromeda Alliance," she said. Her mouth moved in sync with the words, but Alex had the feeling she wasn't speaking English. Somehow he understood her anyway. "Where am I?" Alex asked, his voice shaking. "What do you want with me?" The one standing to Lyra's right leaned forward with interest. She had copper-colored hair cut short and more delicate features. "It speaks well," she said. "The translation implant is working correctly." "Translation implant?" Alex tried to reach for his head but still couldn't move. "Peace, human," Lyra said. "You are unharmed. The restraint field is for your safety as much as ours." Another of the aliens, with dark skin and gold patterns running along her arms, stepped closer. "Commander, we should begin. The Void Hunters could track the energy signature from our landing." Lyra nodded. "Serena is right. Naomi, prepare the scanner. Kira, Valerie, maintain watch positions." 2 of the aliens moved toward the walls where they touched panels that appeared at their fingertips. The copper-haired one, Naomi, Alex guessed, brought a floating device that looked like a transparent orb over to the table. "What are you going to do to me?" Alex asked, trying to keep the fear out of his voice. Lyra looked down at him, her silver eyes unreadable. "Your kind has a saying, knowledge is power. You possess knowledge you don't even know you have. We need that knowledge. I'm just an engineer. I don't know anything special." Lyra's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "You are much more than just anything, Alex Morrison. Your genetic pattern has been on our tracking systems for years. Now that we've found you, we need to understand why you're important." "How do you know my name?" Alex asked, his heart pounding. "We know many things about Earth and its people. We've been watching for a long time." The one called Naomi held the orb above Alex's chest. It began to glow brighter, casting his face in harsh light. The other aliens watched with intense focus. "Will you let me go when you're done?" Alex asked. Lyra exchanged glances with the others. Then she looked back at Alex, her expression serious. "No, Alex Morrison of Earth. You're staying with us forever, human," she said as she and her warrior sisters surrounded him more closely. "Your journey with the Stellar Valkyries has only just begun." Days passed aboard the alien ship. Alex lost track of time since there was no day or night in space. The room where they kept him had no windows. The walls changed color from blue to purple to help him sleep, but Alex didn't know if that matched Earth time. They had moved him from the exam table to a small room. It had a bed that molded to his body, and a bathroom area that was strange but worked well enough. Food came twice a day. It looked like colorful gel but tasted like different Earth foods each time. The warrior sisters took turns watching him. Each one was different in how they treated him. Lyra, the commander, was hard to read. She asked many questions about Earth and human history, but shared little about herself or her people. She had a scar across her left cheek that glowed faintly silver when she was deep in thought. Kira was the weapons expert. She was tall with dark purple hair and had little patience for Alex. She viewed him as a specimen, not a person. When she guarded him, she stood far away and kept her hand near her weapon. "Your kind is so fragile," she said once, watching him eat. "How did you survive long enough to develop spaceflight?" Valerie was the pilot. She had light green markings on her face and arms that lit up when she used the ship's controls. She rarely spoke to Alex but watched him closely, as if trying to solve a puzzle. Serena was the group's strategist. She had skin like polished bronze and moved with silent grace. She asked Alex strange questions about human conflicts and seemed impressed by some of his answers about military history. "Your species understands tactical thinking despite your limitations," she told him. Interesting. Naomi was the scientist. She had copper hair and more delicate features than the others. She was the only one who seemed truly curious about Alex as a person, not just as a test subject. She ran most of the tests on him, always explaining what she was doing. On what Alex guessed was his 5th day on the ship, Naomi came to his room with a new scanning device. "This won't hurt," she said, running the device over his arm. "We're checking your cellular structure more deeply today." "Why am I here?" Alex asked. He had asked this question many times but never got a complete answer. Naomi hesitated, then sat on the edge of his bed. "I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I think you deserve to know something." She looked toward the door to make sure they were alone. "My people, the Astrari, are dying." "Dying? From what?" "From our past mistakes," Naomi sighed. "Long ago there was a war. We used weapons that changed living things at their core. We won the war, but the weapons left a mark on us. Each generation of Astrari is weaker than the last. Our children are fewer and many are born sick." "That's terrible," Alex said. "But what does it have to do with me?" "Some humans have special genetic patterns in their cells. Patterns that look like old Astrari code. We've been searching Earth for these patterns for years." She pointed to her scanner. "You have more of these patterns than anyone we've found before. So I'm what? Some kind of cure? Maybe. We don't know yet." Naomi stood up as the door opened. Kira walked in, her face angry. "Naomi, the commander wants you on the bridge." "I'll watch the human." Naomi nodded and left. Kira leaned against the wall, glaring at Alex. "She shouldn't talk to you so much," Kira said. "You're here for study, not conversation." "Is what she said true?" Alex asked. "About your people dying out?" Kira's silver eyes flashed. "What we tell you is not your concern. Your job is to cooperate with our tests." Before Alex could respond, the ship suddenly shook violently. Alarms began to sound and the lights turned red. Kira pressed a panel on her wrist armor. Bridge, report. Lyra's voice came through. Battle stations. We have void hunters on our trail. 3 vessels closing fast. Understood. Kira turned to Alex. Stay here and don't move. She locked the door as she left. The ship shook again, harder this time. Alex fell against the wall. Through the door, he could hear shouting and the sound of running feet. The ship made a sharp turn that pushed him against the floor. After several minutes, the door slid open. Lyra stood there, her armor scratched and a small cut on her face leaking silver blood. Come with me, she ordered. We need to move you to a safer location. Alex followed her through the corridors of the ship. The walls, usually smooth and glowing with soft light, now had panels open showing complex technology underneath. Other Astrari crew members rushed past carrying tools and weapons. What's happening? Alex asked as they ran. Who's attacking us? Void hunters, Lyra said grimly. Our ancient enemy. They were once Astrari like us, but the same weapons that poisoned our genetics changed them completely. Now they hunt us across the galaxy. They reached a small room deep in the ship. It had thick walls and no windows. Stay here, Lyra said. This is a secure chamber. If the ship is breached, this room will seal automatically. Wait. Alex grabbed her arm before she could leave. Do these void hunters want me too? Is that why they're attacking? Lyra's silver eyes met his. Yes, they can sense the genetic patterns you carry. They want what you have as badly as we do, but for different reasons. We seek healing. They seek power. The ship rocked with another explosion. Lyra steadied herself against the wall. I must get to the bridge, she said. We're going to make an emergency landing. Landing? Where? A planet in your solar system. One you call Proxima Centauri b. She turned to leave, then paused. Alex Morrison. If the Void Hunters take this ship, you must not let them capture you alive. What you carry inside you could doom countless worlds in their hands. With that ominous warning, she left. The door sealed behind her, leaving Alex alone with his thoughts. The ship continued to shake and turn. Through the walls, Alex could hear the sounds of weapons fire. Then came a massive jolt that threw him across the room. The lights flickered and went out, replaced by dim emergency lighting. Alex picked himself up from the floor. His head hurt where he'd hit it against the wall. He touched the spot and his fingers came away with blood. The ship was no longer moving or shaking. Either they had escaped their attackers or they had landed. Or maybe they had been captured. Alex waited in the dim light, wondering what would happen next. After what seemed like hours, the door finally opened. Naomi stood there looking tired. Are you hurt? She asked, seeing the blood on his face. Just a bump, he said. What happened? We crashed on Proxima Centauri b. The engines are damaged. Lyra wants to see you on the bridge. Me? Why? Naomi gave him a small smile. Because you're an engineer. And right now we need all the help we can get. The bridge of the Star Weaver was a mess. Panels hung open with wires spilling out like colorful intestines. The main viewing screen was cracked, showing only half an image of a rocky, reddish landscape outside. 3 Astrari crew members worked frantically at different stations. Lyra stood in the center, giving orders. When she saw Alex and Naomi, she motioned them over. The human is injured, she said, noticing the blood on Alex's face. It's nothing, Alex said. Naomi told me you wanted to see me, Lyra nodded. Our main engines are damaged. Our engineers are trying to repair them, but they're having trouble understanding what happened. And you think I can help? I design aircraft, not spaceships. Naomi believes there are similarities between your technology and ours. Your species reinvented principles we've used for millennia, just in different ways. Lyra pointed to a damaged console. That screen shows our engine schematics. Alex walked over to the console. The screen flickered, showing complex diagrams of the ship's engine systems. Despite the alien writing, Alex recognized some of the basic principles. It reminded him of the experimental propulsion systems he'd worked on at North Star. This looks like a form of magneto-hydrodynamic propulsion, he said, pointing to one part of the diagram. We've been developing something similar, but nowhere near this advanced. Lyra and Naomi exchanged looks. Can you understand enough to help us fix it? Lyra asked. Before Alex could answer, Serena burst onto the bridge. Commander, sensors detect movement outside. The Void Hunters survived the crash. They're approaching our position from the north. Lyra's face hardened. How many? At least 20. Their ship landed about 5 miles away. We need a defensive perimeter, Lyra decided. Serena, take Kira and Valerie. Set up position around the ship. I'll coordinate from here while Naomi and the human work on the engines. Serena nodded and left. Lyra turned back to Alex. Now, human, can you help us or not? Alex studied the diagrams more carefully. The engines aren't irreparable, he said finally. This configuration is similar to principles I worked with on Earth. The damage is to the cooling system, not the main drive. If we can reroute power through these secondary conduits, we might be able to get enough thrust for liftoff. Show me, Lyra said. For the next hour, Alex worked with Lyra and Naomi on the engine systems. They went down to the engine room, a vast chamber filled with pulsing blue light. Alex's suggestions were met with skepticism at first, but when his first repair actually worked, the Astrari engineers began to listen more carefully. As they worked, Alex asked questions about the ship and the Astrari. Naomi answered most of them, while Lyra focused on directing the repairs. How long have your people been traveling in space? Alex asked as he helped reconnect a damaged power coupling. Over 20,000 of your Earth years, Naomi replied. We had already visited 100 star systems before humans learned to make fire. And these void hunters? Lyra said they were once like you. Naomi's face grew sad. Yes. During our greatest war, some Astrari scientists tried to make our soldiers stronger, more resistant to the genetic weapons our enemies used. The experiments went wrong. The test subjects changed, became something new and terrible. Their minds twisted along with their bodies. They escaped, Lyra added unexpectedly. They stole ships and fled to the outer reaches of the galaxy. Over the centuries, they've grown in number. They capture and convert other species to become like them. Convert? Alex asked, not liking the sound of that. They use a virus that rewrites genetic code, Naomi explained. It turns any living thing into a void hunter over time. That's why they're so dangerous. A call came through on Lyra's wrist communicator. Commander, Serena's voice said urgently, they're here. At least 15 void hunters approaching from the North Ridge. Can you hold them? Lyra asked for a time. But they're using cover well. They've grown smarter since our last encounter. We need another hour to complete repairs, Lyra told her. Do what you must. Understood. Lyra turned to Alex. Work faster, human. If the void hunters breach our defenses before we can lift off, none of us will survive this planet. They returned to their repairs with renewed urgency. From outside came the sound of energy weapons firing. The ship shuddered occasionally as stray shots hit its hull. After 40 minutes of intense work, they had the main engines partially repaired. It wouldn't be enough for fast travel, but it might get them off the planet. We should check the tactical situation, Lyra said. They hurried back to the bridge. On the repaired view screen, Alex got his first look at the void hunters. His blood ran cold. They were humanoid in shape, but that's where the similarity ended. Their skin was black and seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They had no visible eyes, just smooth areas where eyes should be. They moved with unnatural speed and coordination. Kira, Serena, and Valerie had set up defensive positions around the ship. They fired energy weapons at the approaching void hunters, but the creatures were using the rocky terrain for cover, making them difficult targets. They're flanking our eastern position, Serena reported through the comm. They're using the rock formations to shield their movements. Alex studied the tactical display, which showed the positions of both the defenders and the attackers. He noticed something the sisters had missed. They're hurting you, he said suddenly. Lyra looked at him sharply. What? The void hunters? Look at their movement pattern. Alex pointed to the display. They're not trying to overwhelm your defenses. They're deliberately drawing your fire to the north while sending small groups to circle around from the east and west. It's a classic hunting technique. Lyra studied the display, her silver eyes narrowing. You're right. Serena, do you copy? Redirect Valerie to the eastern approach. Kira, watch the western ridge. They're trying to surround us. Confirmed? Serena's voice replied. Repositioning now. Moments later, Kira's voice came through. Commander! 5 void hunters were hiding behind the western ridge, just as the human said. We've engaged them. The sounds of battle intensified. On the tactical display, Alex watched as the warrior sisters adjusted their positions based on his observation. They caught the void hunters in a crossfire, cutting down several of the flanking attackers. How did you see that? Lyra asked him, her voice containing a hint of respect for the first time. Humans evolved as prey species before becoming predators. Alex explained. We instinctively recognize hunting patterns. Your people have always been apex predators, so you look for direct attacks. These void hunters think more like ambush hunters. Lyra considered this. Your insight is valuable, she admitted. Then she turned to the engineering crew. Status on the engines? Ready for startup sequence, Commander. One of them replied. Begin power-up. Serena, Kira, Valerie, fall back to the ship immediately. We're leaving. The three warrior sisters acknowledged the order. On the view screen, Alex watched them retreat toward the ship, firing behind them to cover their withdrawal. The void hunters pressed forward, sensing their prey was about to escape. Seal all hatches, Lyra ordered as soon as the sisters were aboard. Initiate launch sequence. The ship hummed as power built in the engines. Outside, the void hunters reached the ship and began clawing at the hull. They're trying to breach the outer shell, Naomi reported. They won't have time, Lyra said grimly. Full power to engines now. The Starweaver shuddered, then began to rise from the surface. Several void hunters still clung to the hull, but as the ship accelerated, they fell away, unable to maintain their grip. Alex watched on the view screen as the red landscape of Proxima Centauri b fell away beneath them. The ship broke through the thin atmosphere and into the darkness of space. Damage report, Lyra called out. Hull integrity at 82%, an engineer reported. Engines functioning at 63% capacity. We can maintain this speed, but no faster. Set course for the rendezvous point, Lyra ordered. Maximum sustainable speed. She turned to Alex, studying him with new interest. It seems we underestimated you, human. Your help was significant. Does this mean you'll take me back to Earth? Alex asked hopefully. Lyra shook her head. No, you're still far too valuable to us. But perhaps we can reach a better understanding. She held out her hand in what appeared to be an Astrari gesture of respect. After a moment's hesitation, Alex took it. Her skin was warm with a slight vibration that tingled against his palm. We have much to learn from each other, Alex Morrison, Lyra said, and much to face together in the days ahead. The Starweaver limped through space, its engines humming at reduced power. Inside, the mood had changed. The Astrari crew no longer looked at Alex with suspicion or disdain. His help during the attack had earned him a measure of respect. Lyra had granted him limited access to move around the ship. He still had a guard, usually one of the warrior sisters, but they were less strict than before. Alex used this freedom to learn more about the ship and its technology. He was in the medical bay with Naomi when they brought in the prisoner. Two Astrari guards dragged in a struggling figure. Alex's blood ran cold when he saw it was a void hunter. Up close, it was even more terrifying than on the view screen. The creature's skin seemed to swallow light. Its face had no features except a mouth with too many teeth. Where its eyes should have been, there were only smooth black surfaces. It fought against its restraints, moving with jerky, unnatural motions. What is it doing here? Alex asked, backing away. We captured it during our escape, Naomi explained. It's the first void hunter we've taken alive in 50 years. The guards secured the creature to an examination table with energy restraints. It thrashed and made hissing sounds that might have been speech. Lyra entered the medical bay, followed by Serena and Kira. Is it secure? She asked. Yes, Commander, one of the guards replied. But we don't know how long the restraints will hold. Its molecular structure keeps shifting. Lyra approached the table. Can you make it speak to us, Naomi? Naomi nodded. She picked up a device and adjusted some settings. This should stabilize its vocal structures temporarily. She placed the device against what passed for the void hunter's throat. The creature shuddered, then went still. Can you understand me? Lyra asked it. The void hunter's mouth moved. Yes, it hissed in a voice like grinding metal. I hear you, Astrari filth. Why are you hunting us? What do you want with the human? The creature's mouth stretched in what might have been a smile. The human carries the key. The last piece we need. What key? Lyra demanded. The void hunter laughed, a horrible sound. You don't even know what you have, do you? Your scientists hid it well. Explain, Lyra ordered. Long ago, when the change first came upon us, your kind feared what we might become. They scattered pieces of the pure code across the galaxy, hiding them in primitive species. Insurance, they called it. A way back if the experiments went wrong. Alex stepped forward. Are you saying my DNA contains Astrari genetic code? Deliberately placed there? The void hunter's head turned toward him, its eyeless face somehow finding him. Not just any code. The prime sequence. The original untainted Astrari genome from before the wars. before the weapons that poisoned all. A shocked silence fell over the room. Naomi was the first to recover. That's impossible, she said. The prime sequence was lost millennia ago. Not lost, the Void Hunter hissed. Hidden, in plain sight, in creatures too primitive to understand what they carried. Humans, Alex said quietly. Yes, but not all humans. Only certain bloodlines carefully guided through generations. Protected by watchers. Preserved until needed. Lyra's face had gone pale. If this is true? Oh, it is true, the Void Hunter said. Why else would we hunt you so relentlessly? We sense the activation beginning the moment you took this one from Earth. His code is awakening. Responding to your presence, Alex felt cold. What does that mean, awakening? The creature laughed again. It means you are becoming more than human, less than Astrari. Something in between. A bridge between worlds. A key to unlock what was lost. Naomi looked at Alex with new understanding. That's why you could help with our engines. Why you saw the tactical pattern the Void Hunters used. Your mind is accessing ancestral Astrari knowledge. This is a trick, Kira said suddenly. The creature is trying to confuse us. No trick, the Void Hunter said. Ask your human. He feels it already. The changes, the memories that are not his own, the knowledge he should not have. Alex wanted to deny it, but he couldn't. Over the past days, he had experienced strange flashes of insight, moments when he understood Astrari technology without being taught, times when he almost understood their language without the translator. Dreams filled with worlds he had never seen. Is it true? Lyra asked him. Are you experiencing these things? I think so, Alex admitted. I've been having strange dreams, seeing things I shouldn't know about. The Void Hunter made a sound like cruel laughter. It begins. Soon he will remember everything. The history of Astaria. The location of the homeworld. The secrets of the prime sequence. Take it back to the holding cell, Lyra ordered the guards. We've heard enough. As they dragged the Void Hunter away, it called out. You cannot stop what has begun. The human is ours as much as yours. We will find you again. When it was gone, Lyra turned to her sisters. We need to discuss this, privately. They moved to a small conference room off the bridge. Alex followed, no longer willing to be left out of decisions about his fate. I should be part of this discussion, he said firmly. This concerns me more than anyone. Lyra hesitated, then nodded. Very well. Once they were all seated, the argument began. We should extract the genetic material now, Kira said. If what the Void Hunter said is true, we can't risk losing the prime sequence. And what happens to the human after extraction? Naomi asked pointedly. Kira didn't answer, but her meaning was clear. No, Naomi said firmly. There must be another way. If his DNA is awakening, responding to our presence, forced extraction could damage the very sequences we need. Naomi is right, Serena added. We need more information before we act. The Void Hunter could have been lying. About some things, perhaps, Lyra said, but not about the human's importance. We've all seen how he's changing. Don't I get a say in this? Alex asked. They all looked at him as if surprised he would speak up. You're right, Lyra said after a moment. What do you want, Alex Morrison? I want to understand what's happening to me. If what the Void Hunter said is true, if I'm carrying some ancient Astrari genetic code that was hidden in my ancestors, I need to know why, and what it means for me now. Valerie, who had been silent until now, spoke up. The changes will continue with or without our intervention. If the human carries the prime sequence, it was designed to activate when in proximity to pure Astrari. That's us, so what do we do? Kira demanded. We continue to Asteria Prime, Lyra decided. Our scientists there will know more about the old stories of the hidden code. They can help us understand what's happening to Alex. And if the Void Hunters find us again? Serena asked. Then we fight, Lyra said simply. What we carry is too important to lose. The meeting ended, but the tension remained. As they filed out, Naomi hung back to speak with Alex. Are you all right? She asked quietly. Not really, Alex admitted. A week ago, I was just an engineer working late. Now I find out I might be carrying some ancient alien genetic code that two different species are willing to kill for. It's a lot to process. I understand, Naomi said. For what it's worth, I believe the awakening process is natural. It won't harm you. But it will change me, won't it? I won't be human anymore, Naomi hesitated. Not entirely, no. But you won't be Astrari either. You'll be something new, something unique. Alex wasn't sure if that was comforting or terrifying. Later that night, the changes accelerated. Alex woke from a dream of crystal cities and starlit skies to find his room filled with soft blue light. The light was coming from his skin. Faint patterns, similar to the markings on the estuary, had appeared on his arms. He stared at them in shock. The patterns pulsed with his heartbeat. When he touched one, images flashed in his mind. Memories that weren't his own. Ancient battles among the stars. Great ships crossing the void between galaxies. A beautiful world with 3 moons and cities that sang with light. Asteria Prime. The home world. Alex knew then that the Void Hunter had spoken the truth. He was changing, becoming something other than human. Part of him wanted to fight against it, to demand the Astrari find a way to reverse the process. But another part, growing stronger by the hour, welcomed the change. Embraced the new knowledge flowing into his mind. He was still staring at the glowing patterns when his door slid open. Lyra stood there, her silver eyes wide. "It's happening faster than we expected," she said, looking at his glowing skin. "I can see your world," Alex told her. "Asteria Prime, the Crystal Towers. The Song of the 3 Moons." Lyra sat beside him on the bed. "Those are ancestral memories. Knowledge coded into the Prime sequence. Why me?" Alex asked. "Why my family?" "I don't know," Lyra admitted. "But we will find out together." She took his hand, her fingers intertwining with his. Where their skin touched, the glow brightened. "You're staying with us forever now, Alex," she said softly, "but not as our prisoner. As our hope." The Starweaver dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a shudder. Alex stood on the bridge beside Lyra and the other warrior sisters. Over the past weeks, as they journeyed toward Asteria Prime, he had become part of the crew in truth, not just a prisoner or guest. The changes in his body had continued. The glowing patterns now covered most of his skin, pulsing with blue-silver light when he experienced strong emotions. His eyes had begun to show swirls of silver like those of the Astrari. Most importantly, his mind had expanded. He could now understand the Astrari language without the translator, and operate much of their technology by instinct. "We're approaching Asteria Prime," Valerie announced from the pilot's station. Visual coming up now. The main screen lit up, showing their destination. Alex gasped. The planet was beautiful, a blue-green world with 3 moons. But something was wrong. Dark patches spread across the surface like bruises on skin. "What is that?" he asked, pointing to the dark areas. Lyra's face was grim. "Void Hunter infestation. They've attacked the planet." "How bad is it?" Serena asked. "Scanning," Kira replied, working her console. "Life signs are scattered and weak. Most major cities show heavy damage. I'm detecting Void Hunter ships in orbit." "They haven't seen us yet," Valerie said. "Our damage is hiding our energy signature. Can we contact anyone on the surface?" Lyra asked. Naomi worked her communications panel. "There's a weak signal coming from the old genetic repository beneath the capital city." "Audio only. Put it through." A crackling voice came over the speakers. "This is General Thalia of Asteria Defense Command. Any Astrari vessels receiving this message do not approach. Repeat, do not approach. Asteria Prime has fallen. The Void Hunters control most of the surface. They're converting everything they touch. Our remaining forces are in hiding. We cannot hold out much longer." Lyra opened a channel. "General Thalia, this is Commander Lyra of the Stellar Valkyries. We have returned from Earth with a Priority 1 discovery. We have found a carrier of the Prime sequence." Silence followed, then, "Confirm identity with command override." Lyra entered a complex code into her console. After a moment, Thalia's voice returned, now filled with hope. "Thank the stars. The old stories were true. Can you reach the repository? We have equipment there that can help." "We'll try," Lyra promised. "Hold position and prepare for our arrival." She closed the channel and turned to her crew. "We need to land near the genetic repository without being detected by the Void Hunters. There's a canyon 3 miles from the repository entrance," Serena suggested, studying the maps. "The rock formations will hide our ship from orbital scanners." "Good, Valerie, set course. Kira, prepare all weapons. Everyone else get ready for ground combat." As the crew rushed to obey, Lyra pulled Alex aside. "You should stay on the ship. It's too dangerous." "No," Alex said firmly. "I've seen this place in my dreams. In the ancestral memories. I know the way to the repository better than any of you." Lyra studied his face, then nodded. "Very well. But stay close to me at all times." The Star Weaver descended toward the planet, slipping past the Void Hunter ships by masking its energy signature. Valerie's piloting skills were extraordinary, guiding the damaged vessel through the atmosphere without detection. They landed in the canyon with a soft thud. Through the view screens, Alex could see the strange landscape of Asteria Prime, crystalline rock formations that caught the light of the three moons and scattered it in rainbow patterns. Beautiful, he whispered. It was more beautiful before the Void Hunters came, Lyra said sadly. Come, we must move quickly. They exited the ship. Lyra, her 4 warrior sisters, Alex, and 4 additional Astrari crew members armed with heavy weapons. The air of Asteria Prime felt thick in Alex's lungs, but not unpleasant. The gravity was slightly lighter than Earth's, making each step feel bouncy. Serena took point, leading them through the canyon toward the hidden entrance to the repository. As they walked, Alex felt strange sensations, as if the planet itself recognized him. The patterns on his skin glowed brighter, responding to something in the environment. The planet knows you, Naomi said, noticing his glowing skin. The prime sequence is resonating with Asteria's own genetic memory. They reached the end of the canyon and faced a sheer cliff of crystal. To human eyes, it looked solid, but Alex could see a pattern within the structure, a doorway hidden from normal sight. There, he said, pointing. The entrance is there. Lyra touched the spot he indicated. The crystal surface rippled like water, then parted to reveal a tunnel leading downward. How did you know? Kira asked, suspicion in her voice. I just saw it, Alex replied. The ancestral memories are getting stronger the closer I get to the heart of this world. They entered the tunnel, which lit up with soft blue light as they passed. The walls were carved with symbols that Alex could now read. The history of the Astrari people, their rise to the stars, their great wars, and their eventual decline. After walking for nearly an hour, they reached a massive door made of what looked like solid diamond. A control panel glowed beside it. This is the entrance to the repository, Lyra said. General Thalia should be inside. She placed her hand on the panel. After a moment, the door began to slide open with a sound like singing crystal. Beyond was a vast chamber filled with technology unlike anything Alex had seen. Even on the Star Weaver, columns of light rose from floor to ceiling, each containing what appeared to be floating strands of DNA. Astrari scientists moved among the columns, monitoring readings. At the center of the chamber stood a tall, regal Astrari woman with battle scars across her face. General Thalia. Commander Lyra, she said, stepping forward. Welcome home. Her eyes shifted to Alex, widening at the sight of his glowing skin and silvery eyes. So it's true. You found a carrier. This is Alex Morrison of Earth, Lyra introduced him. The prime sequence is active within him, responding to Astrari presence and now to Asteria itself. Thalia circled Alex, studying him with intense interest. Remarkable. The changes are further along than I would have expected. What happens now? Alex asked. Now we confirm if you truly carry what we need, Thalia said. She gestured to a circular platform at the center of the chamber. Please stand there. Alex hesitated, looking at Lyra. She nodded encouragingly. He stepped onto the platform, which began to glow beneath his feet. A cylinder of light rose around him, and he felt a tingling sensation throughout his body. Displays around the chamber lit up with complex data. The Astrari scientists gasped and murmured as they read the information. It's true, one of them said in awe. He carries the complete prime sequence, untainted, undamaged, just as the ancient records described. Can it save your people? Alex asked. Thalia's face was solemn. Perhaps. But there is more at stake now than just our survival. The Void Hunters have taken most of the planet. If they capture you and extract the prime sequence, they could use it to perfect their viral conversion process. They would sweep across the galaxy, converting all life to their form. Then we need to use it first, Lyra said. Can we activate the full sequence in Alex and use it to create a template for our people? Yes, Thalia replied. But there is a cost. She turned to Alex. The full activation would complete your transformation. You would no longer be human at all. You would become something new, neither fully human nor fully Astrari. And if I refuse? Alex asked. Then we extract what genetic material we can without full activation. It would be less effective, but it might be enough. The choice is yours. Before Alex could respond, alarms blared throughout the chamber. One of Thalia's officers rushed over. General! Void Hunters have found the entrance. They're breaking through our outer defenses. How many? Thalia demanded. Hundreds. They must have tracked the Starweaver's landing. Thalia turned to Lyra. Commander, we need your warriors at the main entrance. Your combat skills are legendary. We'll hold them as long as we can, Lyra promised. She looked at Alex, her silver eyes filled with emotion. Whatever you decide, know that you have earned your place among us. You are one of us now, regardless of your form. With that, she and her warrior sisters rushed to defend the repository, leaving Alex with Thalia and the scientists. We don't have much time, Thalia said urgently. What is your choice, Alex Morrison of Earth? Alex closed his eyes. He thought of his life on Earth, his small apartment, his job at North Star, his few friends. Then he thought of what he had experienced with the Astrari, the wonders of space travel, the bond he had formed with Lyra and her sisters, the feeling of finally belonging somewhere. Earth is my past, he said, opening his eyes. But this, protecting what remains of your people, perhaps creating something new together, that's a future worth embracing. Thalia nodded. Prepare the activation chamber, she ordered her scientists. They led Alex to a smaller room off the main chamber. Inside was a crystalline pod filled with glowing liquid. This will complete the transformation, a scientist explained. The fluid will react with the prime sequence in your cells, activating its full potential. Will it hurt? Alex asked. Yes, the scientist said honestly. But not for long. The sounds of battle echoed down the corridors, energy weapons firing, explosions, screams. The Void Hunters were getting closer. We must hurry, Thalia urged.